I've had my Porsche 911 ST for about 9 months. I've only just run it in. The car is running. And some people have advised me that I should sell it now. That's because the new 992.2 GT3 Touring with lightweight pack takes many of the bits of the ST and adds a few more useful features for less money. So I'm wondering if I should sell the ST while the values are still strong, buy one of these and pocket the difference. I'm even going to consider some other Porsche 911 options that I could have instead of this GT3 and my ST. Like, already thinking to myself, do you need the ST? And by the end of the video, you'll find out if the ST stays or if it goes. Don't hate me. The 992 generation ST was built to celebrate 60 years of the Porsche 911. In total, 1,963 STs have been built. Mine's number 1,814. I spec'd up my Porsche 911 ST in November last year.
4 months from now, I'll come and collect the car.
When collection day came in April, I was super excited.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
But when I uploaded the video, many people didn't understand why I got rid of my GT3 RS for the ST. They saw the RS as the ultimate 911. However, I did it for one reason. For me, the ST is the ultimate road-going 911 thanks to its specifically tuned suspension and short-shift manual gearbox. But these are things the new 992.2 GT3 with lightweight package now gets. It also gets an updated design over my 992.1 generation 911. So at the front, this lower apron is different. Now they've moved the indicator winkers into the headlamps, which have been redesigned. I'm not sure that I like that because you get this like kind of boring plastic area. To be fair, on the old GT3, there's a lot of black plastic. However, on the ST, it's body coloured, so it does look better. Moving down the side, you can get the wheels just like on the ST now as part of this lightweight pack. I love just the clean design of it and this oak green metallic paint, which was one of the choices I wanted on my ST, but there wasn't paint to sample available. Now you do have the standard door handles like on other 911s, which I'm not so keen on. They look good when they're flush, but they're a little bit kind of more awkward to use. At the back, I like the new rear bumper design, the way you've got these like vents there, like that's really cool. Not so keen on this though, this kind of fake vent there. It's very un-Porsche. Not sure where that leads. They've also redesigned the rear lights, so they're just simpler. That's nice. I'm not sure about this new rear grille design and the way they put the high-level brake light horizontal rather than the two vertical lines, which signify 9, 11. You do have this from the ST though, look, the little gurney flap spoiler, which means that the rear spoiler doesn't have to extend so high to get the downforce you need for high-speed stability. Overall, not much has changed, it's subtle, and this is just a great looking car. To me though, the ST looks even better. For starters, the Shore Blue paint isn't available on any other Porsche model, even through paint to sample. But that's not all. There are a couple of key design features that really help the ST stand out. It's this slat in the door, which leads into the wing, and then you have this cutaway so you can see the tyre tread. So cool. And then there's the double bubble roof design. Now, one of the reasons why you have the door like this is because it's from the GT3 RS and it's carbon fibre. That's why you have the proper door handles, which don't look as good, but are just nicer to use. However, because you've got that carbon fibre door, which reduces weight, it doesn't have the heft to shut so easily as on the GT3. That happens a lot, and you have to go, oh, bloody hell. Also, the ST is available with these unique kind of ceramic alloy wheels. I blooming love them, but there's something I'm not so keen on. So while we have real vents at the back of the new GT3, shock horror, there's fake vents here. Why? And do you know what? I never noticed that until today, and I don't like it. One thing that I didn't like at first on the ST was the gold lettering, but now makes the car stand out. One of the big upgrades on the new GT3 are the optional carbon fibre back bucket seats. So they're slightly easier to get into than the old ones. Like, that is definitely easier. And they seem to just hug my body a fraction better. Really, really comfy, really, really supportive. And then there's this feature. This is so good. Look, you can do that. Obviously you do need to slide it forward, but then you can get into the back because now the GT3 comes with rear seats, which is handy. Now they are an option, but they're a non-cost option, so do not forget to spec them when you're ordering your car. Then you can just pull that back. Obviously it's just as cramped as any other 911, but you can at least take kids in the back of your GT3. And look, there's Isofix back here. There's even Isofix in the front passenger seat. One of the main reasons for me to swap into the new GT3 will be an ability to take my 4-year-old daughter in the car so we can use it as a family, something I can't do with the ST. And while I could fit aftermarket seats to the ST, you can't make the fronts fold forward like the new GT3s. Oh, and the updated seats also have another feature. If I just put my finger in that hole, excuse me, I can't quite do it from this angle. Oh yeah, I can. There we go, look. You can remove that. So your head isn't tilted forward when you're wearing a helmet on track. If there is a downside though, it's that the new bucket seats don't look quite as nice nor as expensive as the old ones. And this is where the ST really shines over the new GT3. With a heritage design pack on the ST, you get all the extra bits on the interior to just lift it, make it feel super special. So it's like all this kind of like embossed stuff going on. You also have leather absolutely everywhere, like leather around here, leather around these vents, leather around the steering wheel column. You get Alcantara up here, you get Alcantara roof lining, you get leather straps here on the door pulls. It's just so nice. Also, look, you get little leather key pouch, you get your color coded key as well. Beautiful matching leather for your manual. They've just chucked everything at this car to make it feel special. This GT3 Touring has the extended leather, but it's not as extended as in the ST. So look, no leather around here or around here, and you just got normal door handles like that. Though, being the lightweight pack, we do have the door handles from the GT3 RS, which I kind of miss in the ST, but they just wouldn't work with the cognac interior. Because when this car came out, European laws meant that you have to have certain safety systems, and then you got this button here to turn them off quickly. So you press that, and then you can quickly go off, just turn all that off. But it does mean that you don't have the suspension button on there. You can configure things using this button on the steering wheel, but you can't configure the suspension. So unlike in the ST where you can press that button and change between two different settings, you can't do it in this. You have to go into some menus to do it. It's annoying. What's less annoying than I thought it would be is a digital tachometer. I actually quite like it, especially the way you can change the view depending on which mode you're in. I love it with the red line at the top. That is very cool. And I like the fact that they kept the toggle switch for turning the car on and off rather than having a button like on the normal 911s. Apparently the reason they have that is because if you're on track and you need to start the car suddenly, you want to be able to know that it's turned on, and it's also a layer of tactility that you don't want to lose from a car such as this. Unfortunately, if you spec the £30,000 lightweight pack, while it does reduce weight by 22 kilograms, it also reduces your choice. You see, with it selected, you can't then specify the cognac interior similar to that in the ST. And that makes the decision to switch a bit harder, as I personally love a light interior. And there's also something else annoying about the new GT3 spec. The lightweight pack doesn't include carbon ceramic brakes, which is a bit odd because carbon ceramic brakes really help reduce unsprung mass. This car is on the normal steel brakes. If you want the carbon ceramics, it's an extra £10,000. They're standard on the ST. Those carbon ceramic brakes cut weight by a further 19 kilograms and mean that the lightest configuration of a new GT3 is 1,420 kilograms, which is 40 kilograms more than the 1,380 kilogram ST. In fact, the ST is only 60 kilograms heavier than my much smaller and very basic 996 Carrera 3.4 from 1999. That weighs 1,320 kilograms, yet the ST and the GT3 have way more power. This new 992.2 GT3 has the same 4-litre naturally aspirated flat-six engine as the 992.1 GT3. However, due to stricter emissions rules, it now has to be fitted with 4 catalytic converters rather than 2. As a result, peak torque is down from 470 to 450 newton meters. But somehow or other, Porsche's worked their magic so that peak power is the same 510 horsepower. Being a 992.1, the ST only has 2 catalytic converters. Also, it's got the hot cams from the GT3 RS, so you have peak power of 525 horsepower, plus torque is 465 newton meters. One thing that's really cool on these GT cars is if you raise the rear spoiler, you can look down into the air intake and you can see the red cone filter. I love that. Sorry, I got a bit distracted. Anyway, on paper, the ST is only marginally superior, but it cost me £262,000, whereas the new GT3 Touring in my preferred specification comes to £210,000. That's a £50,000 difference. And really, the profit to change is even more, as ST is fetching well over list price on the used market. There are only 3 online right now, but the one most similar to my car is advertised at £390,000. However, that is what is being asked. A car is only worth what someone will actually pay for it. So I called up Tom Giaconelli from renowned supercar dealer Romans International to see if he'd make me an offer on my car. Hey Tom, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay, though I don't look quite as okay as you. Obviously on holiday.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's in Mauritius.
The car dealing business is going well for you. You're clearly the man to speak to. I have got my 911 ST. You're probably aware of it. I had it in March 25. That's when it was registered. It's done just over 1,000 miles. I'm just wondering what I could sell it for.
We'd definitely buy it. We've had a good run with them over the course of the year. Their values are pretty steady, I'd say. What they're selling for and obviously what we can pay is obviously slightly different figure. Sort of going into winter, the market might cool up a little bit.
Whoa. Listen, mate, you're in Mauritius, right?
Yeah. But no, look, obviously they're not making them anymore. I think you had one of the last ones, right? So, you know, the figure that I would have, knowing, obviously yours is a heritage pack car, it's got all the right bits, we'd be very comfortable to offer 355 for it. That's to buy it outright.
None of your sale or return or anything like that. You're going to give me 355 today if I want to sell my ST.
Yep, we can come and pick it up tomorrow, pay the money straight in your bank.
Okay, that's interesting. And do you think the values will soften even more?
I mean, there are some people that think they're still going to come down. People think they're going to end up at about 350. Personally, I think they're a bit stronger than that. There's nothing that's coming out that's super exciting, I think, from Porsche that's going to sort of replace it. So at the moment, it's still the hot kind of purist's car.
All right, then. Well, do you know what, Tom? You've given me something to think about there. It's a really tough decision. Go on, listen, thank you very much for your time and the offer. I'm going to go away and have a think about it, and then I'll come back to you and let you know.
No worries. Yeah, keep me posted.
I reckon I could stretch Tom to £360,000, which means I could get into my ideal specification GT3 and still bank £150,000. But before even considering doing that, I need to see if the GT3 can get close enough to the ST on thrills with a series of tests. Let's start off with performance. Right, I'm going to launch the GT3, time it from 0 to 60 and over the standing quarter mile. I've got the stability and traction off. I'm just going to dump the clutch, see what happens. Got gear shift. Come on. Giving it all that I can, and here we go. Yes. 0 to 60, 4.1 seconds. Standing quarter mile, 12.1 seconds. Whew, not bad. Now, don't hate me, but I'm not going to launch my own car. It has a lightweight clutch, which is easy to burn out and very expensive to replace. The Porsche GB press office had an ST on fleet, and it went through a couple of clutches during its time with many journalists. To be fair, though, Porsche press does expect their cars to be driven hard. They're not private possessions, they're marketing tools. They're to get coverage, especially coverage like this. Thanks, Porsche press office. I appreciate it. Now I'm going to see what the in-gear pull is like in second gear from 30 to 70. Let's get into second, now I'm going to floor it. There we go, 3.36 seconds. Now I'm going to do a roll on third gear from 40 to 90. Get into third, here we go. I'm going to floor it now. Right, what was that? 5.59 seconds. Now I'm going to do a second gear roll on from 30 to 70 in the ST. Right, here we go, 3, 2, 1. 2.98 seconds. Definitely quicker than in the GT. Not by much, but a noticeable margin for such a small time. 40 to 90 in third gear in the ST. Go on. Once again, slightly quicker. 5.16 seconds. It's just that top end rush, just a bit more like, wah! It's not a huge difference, but it's a difference that I'd miss. The GT3 with lightweight pack has the same gearing as the ST, so the time difference must be due to the ST's extra 15 horsepower, inertia reducing lightweight clutch and flywheel, and lighter weight, thanks to, amongst other things, less soundproofing, which brings us neatly onto a sound check. Sounds nice. Let's have a listen to it when you're moving. It sounds great, doesn't it? Now let's hear the ST. I'm going to rev this car, have a listen to this. In fact, look how quick that revs up and how quick the revs fall as well. Let's have a listen to this ST when I rev it out. So, pull away gently. just more raucous in here than the GT3. Louder, there's less insulation, the engine sounds angrier, it's more intense. It's not just the exhaust though, the ST makes some other cool noises. Hear all that? If I take the clutch out, it's like this crazy rattling sound. This is the light and flywheel. It makes it feel like a racing car, sort of in contrast though to this luxurious interior. Anyway, I love it. It just adds character. You can hear so much noise in this car, but it's all good mechanical noise. It's the noises you want to hear. Meanwhile, the GT3 is making some wrong noises. Don't know if you can hear that. There's a sort of whine. Can you hear it? Gearbox or something. It's just like a... I don't know whether it's this car. It's annoying. The brakes are really squeaky as well. Now listen. But does the ST also suffer the same problem with its brakes? What's interesting is that these common ceramics don't squeak at all. Listen. Another benefit of carbon ceramics is you don't really get any brake dust, so you're not having to constantly clean your alloys. This car makes all of the right noises and none of the wrong noises. There is one clear way the ST is harder to live with than the GT3. The light clutch on this car just makes it a pain to pull away. You can't slip the clutch because you'll just burn it out, so you have to just do it on the clutch with no throttle. So you have to just balance it and then there we go, you pull away. Now it becomes problematic when you are at a junction because then you're in a bit of a panic, you don't want to slip the clutch, so you just have to try and get it engaged as quick as possible without stalling it. Oh, there we go, and off you go. It's a bit of a faff. Then, when you are on a steep incline, you try not to slip the clutch again because you'll burn it out, so you do this a lot. Oh dear. I've stored this car quite a bit. Meanwhile, everyday driving is a lot less embarrassing in the GT3. I can give it some revs and just slip the clutch a little bit. Like you can just tool it around, super easy. Stop, oh, I need to reverse. Look, give it some revs. Fine with that, look. No problem at all. Need to get a quick getaway. There we are, look, I can get away from the lights pretty quickly or out at a junction. No messing about. You don't have to think about it. It just seems normal. What's not normal is for a 992 generation GT3 to feel composed on a bumpy road. But things have changed with this midlife update. The suspension feels nice and compliant, just like on the ST. Feels exactly the same as far as I can tell. Much better than the old GT3, which was too bouncy. Steering, it's not as sharp as it was in the old GT3. They kind of dialed it back, but it still has excellent turning, and you can really feel the rear steer working to get the collight turning in. It's very much a point and squirt thing. So direct. Whoa! Yeah, it's really good. Now the throttle response with this 4-litre engine is just lovely. Like, when you jab at the throttle like that, quite brutal actually. It's a slight delay when you press the throttle, but then it picks up, and when you lift off, you feel quite a bit of inertia in that engine. The engine in this car just pulls so good. It's very easy to hill and tow. It's so much better as a road car, I think, than the old GT3. And it's so involving still. Is this ST really any better? I don't know. In some ways this is easier. It just feels a bit more darty. You're not messing around with the clutch so much. You're not trying to balance your shifts quite as much. What a car. Why would you need anything else? I'm starting to feel a bit worried about my ST. Is this like as good as, or in some ways better? Right now I'm thinking of putting my ST up for sale, but I need one last drive to be sure. First thing you notice when driving the ST is just the responsiveness of the engine and powertrain. When you flex your right foot, it just seems to pick up that little bit quicker. Doesn't feel quite as jolty on off, but maybe that's because you've got that light and flywheel and less inertia, like causing joltiness. It actually feels a bit smoother when you're on it as well. Suspension wise, very similar. I've got this in the firmer setting, the sportier setting. Trying to hill and tow this is harder, definitely. And one thing I can definitely tell is the lack of rear axle steering. So, rear axle steering or not to rear axle steering, this definitely doesn't feel as darty. It feels a little bit more analog, which is a good thing. Also, it seems to flow a bit more rather than like point and shoot. Definitely not as agile as the GT3, but it's easily agile enough. It's more smooth rather than if that makes any kind of sense. I'm supposed to be a motoring journalist. That's what the ST does to you. It kind of just makes you go, There is one thing that's not quite so good. I prefer the Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s than the Pirellis. They just seem to have a bit more feel and a bit more bite. It's a bit like the difference between normal like latex condoms and those special skin ones. I think I might be switching my tyres. But one thing about this ST, it sort of spins its wheels a little bit more, like it's just a touch more leery, the way it puts its power down. And that top end rush. Woo! You know what, actually, out on the road you feel it even more when you've got trees whizzing by you. It just seems more intense. So Andreas Preuninger, the guy who's in charge of Porsche's GT division, says this thing is a wild ride and is absolutely bang on. Is it better than the GT3? Yes, it is. Is it massively better? No, it's not. It's very, very close, but it's that little extra bit. Now that I've experienced it, I'm not sure whether I'm going to want to give it up. It's such a special car. I'm so lucky to have it. Things have just got a little bit more confusing, but they're about to get even more confusing because I'm going to add into the mix some other possible cars to replace my ST. Such as this Suzuki Jimny. Actually, I'm only joking, but before we look at some other Porsches, I just wanted to give you an update on my new business venture of importing Suzuki Jimnys from Japan and trying to sell them for a profit. Now, I've actually got a bit of a problem with one of the Jimnys because it's got a totally dead battery, so I need a new one. So I've gone onto gsfcarparts.com. I've used the registration of my own Jimny because the one with the flat battery isn't road registered yet, and I've ordered a new Yuasa top specification battery, nothing but the best for my imported cars, by the way, and I've used the code MW25 for up to 25% off. So that battery will be sent to my nearby store, so all I have to do is go and pick it up. Right, I've come to pick up my battery. Should be in store. Hello. Hi. I've come to pick up a battery. I've just gone to get it. Perfect, that's exactly what I need. Cheers. Oh, blimey, they're heavy, aren't they? Oh! Here's the new battery then. Let's just check the size is right. Yeah, that's perfect, should fit, and it's certainly a better quality battery than the one that came in my car. Now, if you need some parts for your car, head to gsfcarparts.com and use the code MW25 for up to 25% off. If you click on the pop-out banner or scan the QR code on screen now, you can go directly there. But there's also a link in the description of this video and the pinned comment. Do you know what? I wish I could get 25% off the other Porsches I'm considering swapping my ST for. The first is the new Carrera T. It's a base 911 fitted with a limited slip differential, rear steering and lower adaptive sports suspension. It's also the only non-GT 911 available with a 6-speed manual gearbox. The T costs from £115,000, but this one has the £5,000 carbon bucket like those in my ST and some other kit, taking it to £130,000. That means this car costs just 60% of the price of my ideal GT3, though it does have the base 3-litre turbo engine with only 394 horsepower. But does this really matter? Oh dear, I can tell you right away this is not a good situation. Not that the car's bad, it's the fact that it's almost too good. Pickup on this turbo engine is good. The power is impressive. You don't need more power than that. Makes a great noise. I'm like already thinking to myself, do you need the GT3? Do you need the ST? This is a whole lot cheaper. You can't go any faster than this car can go on the road. If you bought this car, you're gonna be so happy with it. I actually think it is the best of the normal 911s, and I wonder if it's actually the best overall 911 from a value for money point of view and what you're getting for your cash. This is 90% there. Oh no, or maybe, oh yes, maybe I just get this. I'd save myself even more money, get rid of the ST and just enjoy this. So easy to heel and tow. It's easier than the ST. It takes a little less skill. I mean, that is some of the fun of the ST, just trying to get that bit right. But as a thing to drive, it's easier. I'm less worried as well. Like now, driving through a village where there's curbs, I'm not like so worried about damaging this car, especially the wheels. Those magnesium wheels are super expensive to replace. So I'm more paranoid driving the ST. I feel freer in this. I'll probably do more miles in it because I'm not so worried about values. This could be the right choice. Oh dear. If I'm thinking about maximising my cash to fund ratio, the T is actually the better swap than the GT3. If I could get £360,000 for my ST after switching to a T for £130,000, I'd actually be up £230,000. That's a huge amount of money I just can't ignore. However, I'm conflicted because I'm a dyed-in-the-wool motoring journalist, and small differences in how a car drives really matters to me. The engine just doesn't have the kind of fizz of the 4-litre naturally aspirated. It doesn't quite sound as spine-tingling. Doesn't have the throttle response, and it's not manic at the top end in the same way. Then there's the gear shift. It's not quite as tight as the ST, but once again, close enough. Ride quality, very similar. Probably not quite as stiff as the GT cars. One thing I do notice is the steering. It just doesn't have that front end sharpness, and that's because of the suspension setup. You don't have the double wishbone suspension on the normal 911s like you do on the GT cars. But oh my God, if you're being completely pragmatic about it, I'll sell the ST and I'll have this. But am I pragmatic? There is another reason to keep the ST beyond the fact that for me, this is the ultimate modern day driver's car this side of a Gordon Murray T50. And that is that actually holding on to it could be the most financially sensible thing to do. You see, it's most likely the end of an era, being a pure naturally aspirated 911 free from annoying mandatory driver's aids. For instance, the 911R cost £140,000 back in 2016, and they are listed for sale today for around £395,000. That's an annualised return of 12%, which is better than the S&P 500 has done over the same period, and you can't enjoy driving around in an S&P 500 index tracker. With this in mind, I went on to Gemini and ChatGPT and asked both to predict the future value of my ST in 2035, and this is what they came back with. As you can see, the big play is to keep the car under 1,000 miles, as then it would be considered collector grade and be worth, according to AI, over £1 million. 4 times the original list price. Despite this potential investment opportunity, I just couldn't resist driving the car, especially as I had to wait 932 miles until it was fully running so I could finally go full throttle. As you can imagine, seeing the odometer go past 1,000 miles did make me wince somewhat, knowing that from then on this car would no longer be worth top dollar. But I sort of wanted to get past that milestone so that I wouldn't be tempted to just stick it into storage and never drive it, because that would have been a wasted opportunity. Speaking of opportunity, you can now get my book, Autobiography by Matt Watson, through Amazon. To do that, click on the pop-out banner appearing in the top right-hand corner of the screen, or scan the QR code on screen now. There's also a link in the description of this video. Anyway, back to cars. Considering I own about 15 other cars and have almost endless models into review for work, I'm unlikely to do more than 2,000 miles a year in my ST. That's why I only did 2,400 miles in my GT3 RS in the 12 months I had it. And anyway, in 2035, if the ST has 20,000 miles on the clock, it'll still be worth £500,000, so I'll still be well up over my initial outlay of £262,000. However, if the AI is right, that will mean an average of this much lost in value per mile over the 10 years of this car's life. Though actually my profit erosion graph is not a straight line, as early miles will be more costly and later ones less so. And while this car won't depreciate as such, driving it does eat into potential upside in a similar way to depreciation. I know what you're all thinking. Blooming heck, Matt, stop going on about values and drive the thing, you privileged knob. It's annoying us. And I totally get it. However, this car was a huge financial outlay to me. I'm not made of money, so I can't just ignore the implications of driving it and what it could do to its value. You know, I'm just a normal lad from Warsaw. I'm also a chartered accountant, so I'm sort of predisposed to think about money as well. I know. Your heart bleeds, right? I clearly needed some psychological help, but instead of a therapist, I spoke to Klaus Eberfeld from Selected Car Investment. He buys and sells modern classics for a car-based investment fund. If anyone can advise on what to do with my ST, he's the man. What do you think is now the time to sell?
If you want to make cash, get cash in your hand, do it now.
So what kind of money do you think I could get for my ST? They're up for around, like, advertised for around £400,000.
We've seen confirmed deals done at 350, 360, I guess.
That'll be a profit of about £100,000, which sounds brilliant. But going back to using it as an investment, would it be wise to try and hold on to it, mothball it, and maybe think to sell it for an even bigger gain in future?
I've seen other Porsches, for example, the 991R. That was going to be the last manual car.
and they went way above list. But they came down when the Porsche realized, we have to make all manual. Suddenly it was competing or had competition from within its own ranks. And that is a case I think you could also say the ST has already. There are a lot of nice 911s. And the numbers are a bit against it. Double as many STs as the were 911 are. And what else could you compare it to? The first Sport Classic. But that is a much rarer car. So I say the numbers are against the ST in the long run.
If I keep it, I drive it and enjoy it. Should I just drive it and not care about the mileage, maybe rack up 60,000 miles, or drive it but manage the mileage?
I think that is exactly the best option.
And do you think if I did that, I could expect the value to not really go too much below list? It should just hold.
Depending on your time frame, it's not an unrealistic scenario.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
And for the insight. And we'll find out what I decide to do. So based on this advice, I should sell my ST right now to maximise the upside, as it's only ever going to decline. Then I should invest in a car that's already proven itself to appreciate in value over the longer term, and being older won't be so mileage sensitive as my ST. And I think I've found the answer. Whoa. Nice. The 997.2 GT3 RS 3.8 from 2010 is often seen as peak 911. It has the famous race-derived, naturally aspirated Mezger Flat 6, and many say it's at the sweet spot of being both modern enough but also old enough. Could it be the perfect car for me? So the first thing you notice about being in this car is how much smaller it feels. Visibility is better than in the modern 911s. I seem to sit a bit higher, which gives you a better view out. The thing that makes me like this is the size. It gives you more confidence. Like now, driving through town, I'll be a bit more cautious in the ST, sitting low down, higher dash, wider body. This, fine. Oh man, I like this a lot. I find pulling away in this easier than the ST. In the same thing where you have to like just do it on the clutch so you don't like burn it out. But it seems to just not be quite so tricky as the ST. But like the ST, you've got a lot of when you're in neutral. Unlike the ST though, the gear shift is much more chunky and solid, so is the clutch. It's harder to use. Feels a bit more agricultural, but not necessarily in a bad way. The engine spins up really well, so you have to balance your shift. So like the ST, you really have to think about it. And the something about the engine just seems a little bit, not as crisp, but slightly rawer, more motorsporty. The suspension, I thought it'd be a killer, but it's not. It's absolutely fine. I could daily this. Mid-range is good. It doesn't pull as hard as the 4 litre. In terms of performance, it feels very similar to the Carrera T, but it sounds better. The nose doesn't feel quite as dialed in as either the Carrera T, and especially not the ST or the GT3. So it doesn't feel as pointy as the modern cars. The steering is slower, but what it's lacking in speed, I feel everything. You don't realise, you know, as motoring journalists, we go on about how good the steering is in 911s, but when you compare it to these old 911s, it's just nothing. I can feel the road surface. It's constantly just like chattering to me, like, oh, well, it's a little bit bumpy here, and also it's a little bit kind of like smooth here, and you're losing a bit of grip here. And just driving slowly, I'm not finding this a chore at all. The seats are holding me well. I actually think they hold me better than the sport bucket seats in both the ST and the GT3. They don't look as cool, and the material's not as nice, but doing the job of a sports seat, they're winning. But here we go. Revs all the way to 8.5, so I mean we're really only 500 RPM off the ST. Oh, it's a truly, truly amazing car. What's also truly amazing about the 997 GT3 RS 3.8 is they have doubled in value. They are advertised for around £220,000 for a car with between 10,000 and 20,000 miles. And part of the reason for this is they are actually slightly rarer than the officially numbered ST, as there are approximately 1,500 made, with around 100 sold in the UK. Meanwhile, I use Gemini to try and find out how many 911 STs are here in the UK, because you can't get those figures from Porsche. We know that 1,963 of them have been built, and according to Gemini, it says that the Department for Transport figures show that there are 116 STs registered in the UK. Now, of those, 96 are registered to be driven on the road, and 20 of them are registered as off-road, and in my opinion those are the ones that are being kept as investments. I also thought it'd be interesting to find out similar numbers for the 911R. There were 911 of those built, and according to Department for Transport figures, there are 68 registered here in the UK. 24 of those are registered to be driven on road, 44 are registered as being off-road, so those will be the investment ones. More people are storing the R. And as Klaus had explained to me, future values are very dependent on rarity, and the ST in reality isn't really all that rare, especially when compared to the 997 GT3 RS 4 litre. There were only 600 of those built, with 54 sold in the UK, of which just 18 are still registered for road use. These cars trade at around £500,000, which is about 3 times their original list price, whereas the AI predicted a 4 times increase in value for the ST. So I went back to Gemini and challenged its original estimates on future values of the ST based on this and the actual market performance of the 911R, the 4 litre GT3 RS and the normal 997 GT3 RS, based on the fact that those cars have now been able to have enough time to show their true appreciation in value rather than just the initial hype. And you know what? It came back with a revised estimate. It was half of what it originally said. Basically, the newness of the ST means that it's experiencing a short-term hype bubble, but this will steadily deflate. So if I'm going to get out, I need to do it now. So what should I do? Sell the ST now, make a quick profit, and then buy either a 997 GT3 RS or the new GT3 Touring with lightweight pack and a manual gearbox. Well, do you know what? If I was going to have one of those two cars, I'd probably go with the GT3. Ultimately, it is the better performance car, and with those rear seats, it's more useful to me as a dad. So it seemed my mind was made up. Sell the ST for the new GT3, pocket the upside, and get over the fact it's only 95% as good. But then I had an epiphany. I think this new GT3 Touring is absolutely brilliant with the lightweight pack, and it runs this ST very close for thrills, but the ST is still, in my opinion, the ultimate water-cooled 911, and I want to be able to own the ultimate water-cooled 911. Yes, I could think about values and all that kind of stuff, but this car makes you feel alive when you drive it, and life, it's for living. The only real thing nagging at me now is that keeping the ST means I won't be able to enjoy long driving adventures in it with my family, like I could have done if I'd have gone with a GT3 with rear seats. But then the reality hardly ever lives up to the dream. I think I'm going to have to do a paternity test, seeing as Grace would rather go in a Model 3 than a GT3. And what it really means is that we'd probably never really use the 911 for family drives. So those new back seats are no longer a factor. That means the ST is definitely staying. It's such a special car. I'm so lucky to have it. And I'm going to make sure I spend as much time as I can driving it hard because, well, you're a long time dead. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Let me know what you think of my decision to keep the ST in the comments below. I will read through them, so don't be too mean because I could get upset. Also, head over to Amazon right now to order my new book, Autobiography, an A to Z expose of cars, and you'll be one of the first to read it. I'm super proud of it and I think you'll love it, so head to Amazon and get my new book.